Hello, and welcome to the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. I am your host, Kaylin John Louis, and it is my honor to be on the air with you all today. Just a friendly reminder as we are gearing up for summertime to make sure that you are practicing all things safety, whether that is making sure that you are taking your precautions from others. COVID is still a thing, and there are more strands, so please make sure you're being safe that way, or if you're deciding to be safe when you're going out with others. I do encourage the buddy system and really just being aware of your surroundings anywhere you go. The world is kind of crazy, and I really want everyone to stay safe. I also encourage you right now to download the Hallelujah 95.3 app so that you can listen to the show on the go on your electronic devices. I also ask that you tag someone that you know and have them listen into today's upcoming show, because I'm going to be giving out a lot of information and education about a topic that is very prevalent in our society. To get right into it, our world is constantly changing, and there are so many unexpected things that are happening every day. People have lost loved ones, people have been through traumatic hardships, or even are just feeling the stress from life situations. And with so many people dealing with so many different things, our country's mental health has declined significantly. However, with new technology and new generations, mental health has begun to take a turn for the better. While so many youth like me have begun taking time to take care of and learn more about our mental health, we've been able to start painting it in a new light. But we still have many people who do not recognize or understand the importance of mental health. So, being that it is Mental Health Awareness Month, I decided that today I would discuss breaking the mental health stigma. Now, to give you a little bit more insight and information about this stigma, what is a stigma to begin with? A stigma is a mark of disgrace, a stain or reproach as of one's reputation. And stigma erodes confidence that mental health illnesses are real, treatable health conditions. A lot of times when you hear the mental health stigma or you hear about it, there's a lot of people who have varying opinions on whether or not having anxiety or being stressed out or getting depression is something to count as an illness. And we've allowed this stigma to create barriers around effective treatment and recovery. We've allowed the barriers of the mental health stigma to allow us to not normalize it and allow our society to really understand that this is something that's affecting everyday people, everyday life. There's a lot of people who are dealing with it. So if you need a definition for the mental health stigma, it'd be when someone is marked or discredited somehow or reduced from being a whole person to being a stereotype or labeled as a collection of symptoms or an illness. Sometimes it can be an example. Sometimes it could be someone saying that someone with a mental illness is dangerous, crazy, or incompetent rather than just saying that they're unwell. It can be when someone is dealing with mental issues such as depression and anxiety, and they're mocked or called weak for seeking help. There's this huge stigma that I think is generational, honestly, of how mental health is viewed. Because, my generation, we've become more open about it and used our different platforms to make sure that people are educated about mental health and educated about seeking help, and making sure that we even ourselves are learning more and addressing that mental illness is okay. Everybody's seen the hashtag on maybe Twitter, Facebook, on Instagram, that it's okay to not be okay, right? That's something that my generation has really been pushing heavily and trying to make sure that people really do understand that there are going to be days where you don't feel all right. There may be even times where you go through certain things in your life or certain obstacles or challenges, and it does significantly impact your mind, your process, how you look at life, and just your day to day activities. Sometimes it could cause you to feel anxious or get anxiety about certain things. You may even feel depressed and not want to leave the house. And these are all things that have to do with our mental health. But until we as a society make sure we start destigmatizing mental health and really understanding what goes behind those who are mentally unwell or not feeling well, then we'll be able to break this stigma. So, why is there a mental health stigma? That may be what you're wondering. We talk about what it is, but why is it here? The stigma has come from our society's lack of understanding of mental illnesses, and also because of some people's negative attitudes or beliefs towards mental health. As I stated earlier, it's different depending on some generations. I know for some generations prior to mine, it was never normal to talk about your mental health. It wasn't normal to say, okay, I'm not feeling well. You kind of just felt it and just moved past it and kept going because you had to. There are other people in my generation who they never talked about them feeling bad. They never went and got counseling. They didn't go to therapy. It wasn't until my generation and the generation before mine that really started pushing, okay, we got to get ourselves together mentally, because we're seeing a lot of people on social media who are just snapping. They have perfect lives. They are, or they appear to be having perfect lives. They appear to be have everything that we would want in life, but then mentally something is wrong, and then they take that bad step of taking their life or going ghost on the world and not trying to be in the light. We all, and I don't know if anyone else was paying attention, but the world, it took the world by a surprise when they saw Twitch, who was on Ellen, who passed away due to his mental illness. You would think that from his posts, him being on TV and all that stuff, that he's happy with his family, but you just never know. And I don't want that flip or that switch to keep flipping in a lot of people's minds. We don't want to keep losing people to mental illness. We don't want to keep losing those in our life or having to not be able to help others or have others feel like it's not okay to share their stories, share what they're going through. Because at the end of the day, if we normalize it more, it won't be a thing that future generations have to say, oh, is it okay for me to have a bad day? Can I take a mental health day? Can I take a break? They won't even have to worry about that. It'll be engraved into them so much that they just know that, yeah, I can recognize I'm not doing okay and I can get help. A lot of times there's still this mental health stigma too, as well, because people see it as a weakness. They see that it's not, that they can't be strong when they're feeling vulnerable. A lot of times people don't like to be vulnerable, and that's the main reason why we do have this mental health stigma, because so many people don't want to share that they're going through things. They want everyone to see them as the hero, or they put on this mask when they walk outside, and they don't want to share that when those doors are closed, when they come back home, they're alone. They don't have happiness around them. They don't have things to surround them. And it's not okay. There are a lot of times people go home and they're dealing with things, but are not afraid to share it because they don't feel like people will understand. There's just this belief that if you can't snap out of what you're going through, then there's something wrong with you. That's another thing. When people hear mental health, they're so used to thinking of those who may actually have mental illnesses and have to be in asylums and different things like that. But it's everyday life situations that really can take a decline on your mental health. And I'm not saying this like I'm perfect. Like, I'm human. When we all went through COVID, I'm sure we all, after being home for a long time, after having to get yourself back in the routine of going back outside, it is stressful. It did cause me sometimes to even have to get myself in check and say, hey, we can't do this. We need to take a day to regroup, to look back at what happened and get ourselves back mentally, because the best thing to know is that your brain is the most important part of your body, right? And if you're not making sure your brain is okay and you're not making sure you are okay, then you're not going to be able to do anything else in your life. Everything starts in the mind. So if you're not feeling good up in your brain and you can't comprehend things, or you can't focus because you have so much burden, so much things on you, it's going to slip through the cracks. It's going to affect your job. It's going to affect your work. It's going to affect your relationships if you don't deal with it. Just because you can't see mental illness like you can see a broken bone on your body doesn't mean it's not detrimental or devastating to yourself, to those around you, or to the surrounding people in your circle. It does affect you. And mental health, we talk about it. Yeah, it really does affect the person, but when the person doesn't deal with it, it does affect those around them, because when others can see you mentally declining and you don't see it for yourself, it can cause frustration. But like I said, your brain is the most important part of your body. And we have to destigmatize this. It's okay sometimes to not feel okay. It's okay to not understand everything in your life. It's okay to have days where you feel sad. But as my mom encourages me to, and a lot of people encourage people to do so, take it day by day. You can have your moment of sadness. You can have your time to not feel okay. But when that moment starts feeling like it's going from a day to weeks to months to years, you need to talk to someone, because that means there's something within or underlying that you're not dealing with. And the longer you don't deal with it, the more and more it's going to cause effects. What mental health really needs is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation. Just as I'm sitting here right now talking about it, if more people took the time to learn for themselves about mental health and do what I'm doing right now and share it out to other people, we'd have a more educated population. And if the population is more educated about a mental health stigma, then that means it's a generation closer to breaking it. We have to educate ourselves about what's going on. Just like we educate ourselves that if we have a headache, oh, we take some Tylenol. Or if we're sick with a cold, we may get some Dayquil. Or we might go to the doctor and get a prescription. The same way you go to a doctor to fix things within your body or on your body, going within your body, is the same thing you have to do is go to a doctor about your mind. There are therapists for a reason. And there are a lot of people who say, oh, I don't want to talk to somebody about my issues because I feel like it's not safe. I feel like they won't help me. But I'm telling you, do your research, find a therapist, talk to them about the things that's going on, because they can give you tips. They may not be able to help you all the way, but they can guide you through that journey. Sometimes going through it alone is what causes more people to deal with mental health stigma and to not be able to address what's going on because they hear or they don't talk about it with other people. They don't have that voice of reason. They don't have that person to let them know, okay, this feeling is valid, but we also need to make sure we're changing this and changing that. Go see a doctor. And for my Christians listening, Jesus and therapy work. I know because I've done it myself personally, but you can pray, you can ask God to help you, and also go see a doctor. God put those people on earth, He put those professions in our world so that there would be people to help when they're feeling down. It's okay to go talk to someone about your feelings. I'm telling you, you talk about it, and as much as you say, I don't want to talk about it, I just want to let it go, it will fester. It'll start going into things you never expected to, and you don't want to end up ruining that good friendship or ruining a relationship or missing out on a job opportunity or missing out on just a great life opportunity because of the fact that you mentally are not doing okay. Mental pain is less dramatic than physical pain, but it's more common and also more hard to bear. A lot of times, mental things affect your emotions, it affects the way you look at life. And so, the frequent attempt to conceal mental illness increases the burden. It's easier to say my tooth is aching than to say my heart is broken. And it's easier for you to say that, oh, something's going on with my knee, for you to be able to say, I'm going through something. We all are going through something, whether we want to recognize it or not. I think that's the thing people don't realize is that a lot of times we don't want to share our feelings. We don't want to say what's going on with us because in our brains, if you're like me, you're always thinking, well, somebody else has it worse off than I do, or someone else is dealing with something more than I am. But you still need to share your story. The fact that you can tell people, yeah, I do this in the community. I am a community leader, but I still deal with things inside. Not only shows that you're human, but it shows that you are recognizing that life happens and things are going to come along with it, but you choose not to let it break you. And that's what we have to do as a society is make sure that we're choosing to address these issues, choosing to see that people are going through things and helping them through it. We've become such a society where we see people on the street, where we see people going through things, and we just keep going. Sometimes out of feeling that our safety is not okay, or feeling that, oh, they'll be okay. We all go through stuff. But I'm telling you, people need others in their lives. We're becoming more and more disconnected. And I think the more we have conversations, the more we talk, the more we share with each other the real of what's going on in our lives and the realness of what we deal with, the greater we'll be able to address this stigma. Because life happens, it really does. But you can choose to make it better. You can choose to not allow it to affect you in the best way or in the worst ways. We got to make it more clear that getting help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. To even be able to sit here and be honest and say, I'm going to get help, I'm going to address what's going on with me, shows so much more strength, resilience, perseverance than you know. And fighting for your mental health is important because it's one to address that you're dealing with something, but to actually put action into it and to do the work to make sure that you're bettering it, the better off it will be. A lot of times we are saying this stuff, right, about mental illness. And I'm telling you, and I've educated you in the beginning of this show about what is the mental health stigma? Why is it happening? But now the next question to answer is, what can we do to change this? Because we don't want our future generations, or we don't want people right now to continue to believe that it's not okay, or that, yeah, that it's not okay to be okay. We don't want people still thinking that they have to hide what they're going through. So I was able to, like I am encouraging you to do, to go ahead and get some education for myself. And I went out for resources. And there's so many, that's the thing. There's so many resources out here that we should not even be stigmatizing mental health, because a lot of times it's misinformation. So my thing is, I personally believe that if you don't know about mental health, you don't know about the importance of it, that's because you're not engaging and taking advantage of your resources. I mean, when we feel sick, we go on Google and go all WebMD to figure out what's going on with us. But why is it that when there's something going on with our mind that we don't reach out for help? We got to do better. And so I went to the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services and found some ways that we as a society can just change this mental health stigma, can make it better. And the first thing that they suggest is to talk freely and openly about mental health, whether that's in person, whether that's in conversations, or whether that's on social media. When you're talking with friends, if you're like me and you're a young person listening, talk about it with your friends. Let them know, yeah, today I didn't have such a great day. I wasn't feeling that well mentally. And maybe your friends can help you. I know from personal experience that me and my best friends, when we're going through things, when we have stuff going on, we may not tell each other everything, but we're honest and open enough to tell each other that, hey, I'm not doing okay right now. I need a moment to step back and get myself together. Or we recognize it within each other and say, hey, are you sure you're okay? Something seems a little bit different. We're able to be each other's support system to help make sure that we're addressing mental health openly and freely. So even if you're not like me, you may not have those friends that are as open and able to talk about it, a social media post is only one click away. I know that especially during this month, people are sharing posts all over about destigmatizing mental health. But if you follow certain social media accounts that are sharing good tips or resources or facts about how to get help, all it takes is the click of share, or to share it on your phone, to repost it on your story. Allow someone else, because it may not just be for you. You may see it and say, oh, I needed to see this, but it's not just for you. Go ahead and share that to somebody else, because somebody might need to hear that as well, or to see that. We have so many resources available to us. So communicate and talk about that freely. The next thing that the health service suggests is to educate yourself and others about mental health, and then respond to misperceptions and negative comments by sharing facts and experiences. A lot of times, like I said, the biggest thing that has caused this mental health stigma is misinformation. People not fully understanding what it means to feel mentally ill or mentally unwell. And so if you take the first step of educating not just yourself, but educating those around you, then you have information and new things. And then when you're on social media or you hear people saying things that are false about mental health, you're able to go back and respond to them, not just from what you think you know, but from stuff that you've read, different facts and figures that you've researched, that you've learned, so that they can become educated and that the misconfusion or the misinterpretation of information can be squashed. Number three, they encourage you to be careful of your words because they do matter. And I can't stress this one enough. So many times we say things in passing, and to us it sounds funny, or to us it may sound like we're joking, but it really does affect people. So when you're talking to someone, be careful of what you say. Be careful of the jokes you make, of calling people slow or saying different things about other people, because it does affect them mentally. Don't comment on everything that somebody has. Just because somebody is wearing something or doing something that you don't like does not give you the opportunity or the choice to have to say something. You can have an opinion, but that doesn't mean you have to share it. There's a lot of people who get bullied, who get verbally talked about, and that stuff affects them and it causes them to go down significantly. So please be careful of the things that you say. Number four, you need to equate physical and mental health illness. Because a lot of times we recognize, oh, if we're physically hurt, like I said, we'll go to a doctor. We'll get some medicine. We'll find something to fix it. But then when we see mental health, we're like, oh, it's just something in your mind. Oh, you're just dealing with something. It'll go away. But you need to give it the same attention, the same amount of pressure, the same amount of I'm going to fix it, like you would give a physical illness. Like I said, if you were to break your bone, you're not just going to sit there and say, oh, it'll go away. No, you're probably going to end up calling 911 and having them pick you up. Or you may go to the hospital so that they can fix the source of the problem. So just like you would go to a doctor to fix that problem, go to a therapist, talk with someone you know, journal it out. Whatever you have to do to release the emotions, release what's going on in your brain mentally, do it. Release it. Because if it stays inside, it is not going to help you. The next thing they suggest is to normalize getting help when you don't feel like it's okay. I guess those two go together, honestly, because getting help is important. A lot of times, therapists, because I don't know if y'all know this, but therapists have therapists. And it just goes on. We're all a big world, big community of people helping each other out. You know that, right? We're just having conversations. We're helping each other be able to understand what we're going through. And even if you can't talk to a mental health professional, because I know for some people, it may be a money thing where it's not affordable, which is something I think we need to fix, but that's a whole conversation for another time. But really being able to talk with those around you, feeling vulnerable and comfortable enough to share with those around you, I'm not okay. Or to say, I'm not feeling so hot right now. Because you don't have to battle it on your own. If you get a support system and those that will keep you accountable to save your mental health and to keep you accountable of making sure you're doing things that bring you happiness and getting you away from things that cause you stress, the closer you will be to helping make or helping break the mental health stigma. Then another thing you can do is show compassion and care for others with mental illness. There are some people who have an anxiety and depression. There's some people who are dealing with more things like schizophrenia or having to deal with mania or just dealing with a lot mentally and have a prescribed diagnosis. But there are others who are just going through everyday life situations with so much in our world. There's been so many people to lose people. And losing someone in your life can change your whole perspective, no matter how much you don't want to realize that. No one knows what situation, what choice, what thing you are away from snapping. And we need to do better of making sure that we destigmatize, we normalize people not being okay. We normalize and give people compassion and care when they're going through things. When there's stuff going on in the world or you're seeing stuff on social media, sometimes you might need to take a break from social media. We see so much, so many senseless crimes, so much news or fake news reports about some of the things going on. And sometimes we just need to take a break from it all. We need to pause. We need to be done with it, And last but certainly not least, we need to choose empowerment over shame. Allow this to be something that you're proud to share. You're proud to talk about mental health. You're proud to talk about the things that are affecting you, and you're not ashamed. And don't shame other people for not feeling okay. Just because someone's going through a rough time, don't sit there and talk about them. Don't shame them, because you don't know how close you are away from that. It's by the grace of God that we all are here and that we're moving and we have our being, but you never know what life situation could alter that. Everything's happening to people nowadays, and it's crazy. And we don't know what's going on. But we can do one thing, and that's be a little bit more open and honest with each other and really try to lift each other up. We can say so much about people all day, every day. We can talk about people mentally all day, every day. We can bring people down and put them down. But where is the respect, the character in that? What's the purpose? That's what I always ask, is what's the purpose? When you already have something going on in your life, you already are dealing with life situations, and you take the opportunity to talk about someone else, what are you doing? What is the purpose? Because at the end of the day, if you don't have it all together, no one has it 100% all together. We're all going to struggle. We're all going to go through challenges in our life. But if we want to break this mental health stigma, it starts with us being honest with ourselves. It starts with us recognizing what's going on and empowering others to do what I'm doing, educate others. Whether you get on and you share your own story of dealing with mental illness, or you share a post, or you share in conversation about something you learned about mental health. The more and more we communicate and educate each other in our society to become better, I do believe the better off we will be. But that starts with the initiative and the action to actually be willing to do it. If you want to change it, change it. And I'm going to leave everyone with this. It's okay to not be okay. I'm going to keep saying that, because there are a lot of things that people are going through. Students are getting ready to get out of school. And that means for a lot of them, they're not going to be around their friends or the people in their life that make them happy. They may be going home to people, or be going home to a place of isolation. There are a lot of youth who have nothing to do in the summertime. That's where mental health is really at its all-time high, because people are left with themselves. And sometimes when people are left with themselves, good things don't happen. And I'm saying this because if we can catch it now, if we can find ways to stop it now, if we can be each other's support, then prayerfully we don't have to listen the entire summer of a child taking their life, or an adult taking someone else's life because they were not okay mentally. We can stop some of these senseless crimes, because behind everything that's going on in our world, every crime, every action, everything that's happening with people, it is starting in their mind. It is starting mentally. So if we can help normalize mental health, then maybe more people will start to get treatment, and there will be less things that happen. I thank you for listening so much. I really, really do care about your well-being and you, which is why I took the time to share this information, because it is so important that you are educated about what's going on in your life, in your community, and in your world. Now, before I get ready to close, I do want to announce again that to mark your calendars for July 15th, that is when the second annual Backpacks for the Homeless, or the hashtag We Got Your Back Service Day for Kaylin's Caring Connection, will be happening this year. We will be sharing more information, but July 15th, mark your calendars. It's going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to continuing giving back to the community. Also, I want to tell everybody thank you so much who has been keeping up with me on my social media platforms. Thank you for all the congratulations. As I continue to let you all know, I am a senior, so there are a lot of things going on. And so to all those who have been saying congratulations, saying thank you, sending words of encouragement, I really, really, really do appreciate you. And next week will be graduation, so I'm looking forward to closing one chapter and entering the next. I also want to make sure that I have you hashtag connect with me on all my social media platforms, which are YouTube by subscribing to the KCK Inspired Moments with Kaylin YouTube channel and turning on your post notifications. I also ask that you follow me on Instagram at Kaylin Cares 15. You can follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn at Kaylin's Caring Connection. And on all three of those, you can see more things about upcoming shows and about things going on. And last but certainly not least, please go to the website, which is www.kaylinscaringconnection.com to find out all things about Kaylin's Caring Connection and Inspiring Moments with Kaylin. Thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate your support and hope that you enjoyed these empowering and motivational conversations. Always know that I care about you, and if no one else has told you today, know that I love you. Thank you for listening, and catch me on the next KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. Bye-bye.